Families have a lot going on. Let Ollie help manage the mental load with new cognitive help supplements for everyone 4 and up, like delicious Lolly Focus Pops or Lolly Mellow Pops for kids. And for parents, try 3 new Brainy Chews to help you focus, chill out, or get energized. Find these cognitive health buddies for the whole fam at ollie.com. That's OLLY.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This episode is brought to you by La Quinta by Wyndham. Your work can take you all over the place, like Texas. You've never been, but it's going to be great because you're staying at La Quinta by Wyndham. Their free Bright Side breakfast will give you energy for the day ahead. And after, you can unwind using their free high-speed Wi-Fi. Tonight, La Quinta. Tomorrow, you shine. Book your stay today at LQ.com.
Producer Shaky getting emails out sometimes people right away or whatever. It happened with our next set of guests that we're bringing on, Mark and Lynetta. You're gonna get your because we're doing a 1 show into 2. We're gonna bring on Michael Fenster and Mark and Lynetta each. Well, you said that, Joseph. It might be an interesting.
Right.
So we'll
It'll be interesting, like the
because I see them both in the green room. Yeah.
The Graham Norton shows. He brings all the guests out onto his couch at one time.
Sorry, Graham Norton. I'm not stealing your formula, Graham Norton. Yeah.
But it makes for a great additional set of dynamics.
Yeah. All right, Joe.
Savaged. This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
There we go again. More technical problems. We live in the 21st century.
No!
Savaged Unfiltered.
The only reason I know this is because I lived under tyranny. I lived in
Shut the fuck up. You're a fucking
Your host, Michael Gardner.
Proper fashion at the proper time.
Like a Hellcat.
Hey guys, we made it up to today's show. Welcome to Savaged Unfiltered. Thank you very much for basically going to our channel here on Rumble, or if you're viewing us on Spotify or iHeart. Thank you very much for choosing this show today. It means a lot. Make sure you hit that like and follow button, and please, guys, don't always think that we're about politics. Everybody, I don't know if we should go on Savaged Unfiltered and talk about politics all the time. No, guys, this show, okay, reason why we had to rebrand is because of the many, many backgrounds of life that we bring onto this show. Authors, comedians, politicians, cooking experts, which we had a doctor chef on part 1, which we're about to bring on right now. Dr. Michael Fenster. I never thought I would have a doctor/chef on. I mean, 2 of the best worlds. I said, if I'm ever in a steakhouse, I'd love to have a doctor on standby to pump the shit right out of my stomach, for God's sakes, instead of waiting 25 minutes for college graduates of EMTs that really don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm dying. Help me, please. Hold on. I have to take out my manual and make sure I'm doing it correctly. Another episode, guys. But, guys, without further ado, I want to bring in Dr. Michael Fenster. Michael, buddy, welcome back to Savaged Unfiltered, pal. How's it going? What's going on since we talked to you last?
It's going great, Michael. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be here, man. Love your show. And
Yeah.
But if we are bringing folks on, and we're doing a little of that Graham Norton thing, then let me know. I got to have my wine, right? Graham always gives his guests a little he keeps it boozy, which is not bad for great conversation.
Yeah, well, we're running a little late with soulmate coaches that we're going to bring on here and very, very soon, guys. I do apologize for that, but there was some email complications between the producer, the show and everything. So I do apologize to you, Michael and Joseph. I hope that's okay. It might make up for the best of both worlds. It's a little Graham Norton, a little blender, with cooking and medical and they're basically it says it all. Their whole label says it. Soulmate coaches. They're literally relationship coaches. They're not counselors. We got that from the part 1. They're coaches. They help build a relationship 10 times better than it actually is.
So my husband, Mark Seidler, the accused,
guilty in this case.
Guilty.
I'll admit to it. She nailed me.
This morning, he revealed something very vulnerable and authentic, and I suggested he share it, and he said when, and I said now. So here it is, folks, live. He is going to fess up. Confess your sins, my child.
Yes, who are you?
I am your Rebbitzin.
I am my Rebbitzin. Oh yes, I must tell the truth to my Rebbitzin.
Yes. So what were you doing with your body?
Great stuff.
Well, I think that's really cool because actually, one of the things we kind of didn't get into in part 1 is what's fundamental to our approach and kind of the culinary medicine way of looking at food and health is that it is built around a relationship. Now, I focus on our individual relationships with food, but so many of our social relationships, occur or tie to food and food experiences. So, life really is all about the different relationships we have, right? That's all you got at the end of the day. You can't take the stuff with you.
Oh, pretty much. Yeah, without a doubt. Guys, I want to also bring here to the panel here. We're going to make it a 4-way panel here, guys. The Soulmate coaches. Tremendous people. Welcome to the show, Mark and Lynetta. How's it going since the last time we talked to you guys?
Awesome. Great. Sorry about the time zone mix-up.
Yeah, I had you down for noon.
It happens, but it is what it is. Sometimes different people are doing different things. It was my producer actually. He does all the emailing and stuff, and I'm like, did you email them? Because I don't see them. They're supposed to be here at 12. And then we had Valerie Maxim that came in. Like I said, part 2 of all these different types of people coming on the show. So I'm like, well, Joseph, this is going to be a part 2 saga of everybody.
Twisted Tea fans love football, so we're surprising them with a Twisted Tea drop. We're kicking off game day with Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Cold, refreshing, and goes down smooth with 5% alcohol. Twisted Tea tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
So we were at the 3rd week. We hadn't met before. We had a mutual friend who introduced us. And then we did some exercises at the workshop together. And that's how we got to know each other better. And just to make it a little more exciting, you should know it was a clothing optional workshop.
We met naked.
We met naked, so to speak. So there was no hiding anything at this workshop.
Wow. But so everything is showing then.
But the thing is, it's not just about showing your outside, because it's really about expressing your inside also. The things we all hold in and hide from other people, even from ourselves. This was about bringing everything inside out and being naked, not just outside, but our inside, and being safe and feeling free to express all that.
So y'all were Adam and Eve. Y'all were Adam and Eve in a way?
Adam and Eve. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It works out,
No.
but sometimes, it
and
is
I'm
what it
actually excited because both of your other guests here are a perfect match for us.
Yeah.
Because we're very into healthy eating and alternative medicine, everything that's kind of, in the forefront.
Yeah.
And also what Joseph was sharing before, that was a really good point when he was talking about fat shaming. And the question is, if something's not the way you want it, what do you do about it? That was kind of the issue that was behind the scenes. And this is exactly what we do in our soulmate coaching, because we acknowledge the desire to change things instead of attacking people. Attacking never works. None of us want to be attacked. So instead, we find a way to acknowledge the goals behind what people want. And I was even thinking about this morning, we actually just came from the gym, and I was thinking like, if there was somebody really obese there, actually there was, because they have a hot tub we went into first, it's like I could judge them and say, oh my God, they're such a fat slob. But I was thinking in my head like, wow, even though they're, morbidly obese, this couple that was there, they're here at the gym instead of at home watching TV eating potato chips.
Yeah.
So I was like, good. I didn't say it to them, but inside I was going, good for you guys. Being here at the gym, it means you want more. Yeah. You recognize something could use a little changing, and you're going for it. And I was like, awesome.
And I gotta jump in on Joseph's comment there, because one of the things about obesity, and obviously, as a cardiologist, I dealt with overweight, folks all the time, overweight, obese, morbid obesity. There's this perception that it's like, oh, well, all they have to do is not eat this and not eat that. And that's completely not true. And in fact, there's a difference between people who are overweight, and there's actually what we call kind of a healthy overweight, and there's an underweight that's ill, where people look normal weight, and they're actually metabolically or physiologically very unhealthy. And one of the distinct differences is that obesity is an inflammatory condition.
What?
And there's been studies shown that a lot of obese people, actually, if you're looking at caloric consumption, don't eat more than people who are not obese. But again, it goes back to the types of foods they eat, the obesogenic components of the foods they eat. And I got to share with you real quick this one study that was done. It was done in mice, what they call no-biotic mice, which these mice had no gut bacteria. So they don't have any germs in their guts. And they took these mice and they got the same amount of exercise and they got the same amount of food and calories and everything every day. But they took the fecal microbiome, so mice eat poop. So they gave them a poop transplant from genetically identical twins. Only difference, one twin was normal weight, one twin was obese. The mice that got the gut transplant from the obese twin, they got fat. The other mice maintained a normal weight. It had nothing to do with what they eat. It had nothing to do with how much they exercise. And the other great thing about mice is they like to eat each other's poop. So when they put the mice together in one cage, the obese mice who ate the poop of the now normal weight mice actually lost weight. So this whole concept that we have about its calories and its calories out is nothing to do with this or that is actually very, very wrong. The things that we're learning about the gut microbiome and how we culture that. So yeah, there's whole layers there, because according to this experiment, which was published in Nature, and yes, it was done with mice, but very applicable because they were human gut bacteria that live inside of these mice, actually makes obesity fit the criteria we use in medicine called Koch's postulate for an infectious disease. And just let that sit in for a minute. So obese people may be sort of infected with something. And it's definitely not just this sort of don't eat this,
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Whenever I get an idea, I'm so eager to just get it out there. And I think that being consistent with the creation process is something that really drives me to make even more stuff. Today we are shooting a kind of a personal video because I'm including my dad into it. When it comes to Artlist Max, without the music that I used for this video, it would fall flat. And the sound effects combined with the music, and then the overlays to be able to transfer from the angle grinder into my eye is so good. Artlist Max gives me true creative freedom. I definitely think that having everything on one single page speeds up my entire creative process. It makes things easier, it makes things less complicated when it comes to just getting your idea out there. I think it's never been easier to actually get started to create content, because now you can have an editing software with everything kind of packed in. You have tutorials, you have transitions, you have effects, you have music, you have sound effects within that program. That is something that I wished I had when I was starting out. Being able to have all the assets on one single platform, that is creativity.
Because it is not a one-size-fits-all thing. It's in some cases this, and in some cases that, and we're not trying to paint a broad brush in generalities here, and we're not bringing up obesity or fatness to mock you. It's because we care and we want better for you, right? And it is indeed just factual that obesity is a factor towards a shorter life span, right? So we want better for you.
Actually, I got to jump in because that's not technically true either, believe it or not, because of the measures that we use. Everybody uses BMI, and you say, oh, well, you want to go this ideal weight. Remember, BMI was developed in like the 18th century by a Belgian polymath who was doing insurance work, and it was based on like 125 white guys in the Belgian army, where they got the
Savaged. Michael, if I may chime in here, we're talking about obesity, we're talking about overweight people here in the country. I want to tie this into relationships because we have Mark and Lynetta here. This would be a perfect segue bringing it in. I see a lot of obesity, and this is my personal view and opinion, guys. It's not facts; they're just opinions. This is my opinion because I see it a lot here in Florida. Okay, where I see a lot of people of obesity or overweight people, where it affects the relationship. I mean, it's a kind of you got some chuckles and everything, Michael, but it's true. I think it's true. Where it's affecting relationships. Where people are, literally, screaming at each other. Like, how do you think? I don't know. As a doctor, man, how do you think we can challenge that? Let's get your insights, and then I'll love to get Mark and Lynetta's insights on the relationship issue with it.
Yeah, and I'm going to segue it over to them because what we've found in our culinary medicine approach is that fundamentally we have to get to the root in all aspects of that individual's relationship they have with food, because food is processed in the same area of the brain as sex and our human relationships in the limbic system. It has all of those sort of same strings attached. And so, our relationship with food, right, from the moment we bond with our mothers over breast or bottle, sets a foundational stone for how we approach relationships throughout our lives. And those relationships are the key. There's a number of different ones. And I happen to focus on, our food relationship as an individual, and then our relationship with each other over food and through food, because it's been such a social currency. So I think it comes down to relationships.
I remember seeing that on a I forgot the oh God, you're gonna have to help me out with this, Michael, because you've been on many different types of shows, network shows with cooking. I remember you talking to, I don't think it was Dr. Oz. It was one of those like maybe Food Network affiliate channels that you were on that you had.
Relationship with food sets the template for all the other relationships in our lives. It begins with ourselves. Our spiritual, emotional, and physical health is intricately tied to what we eat from the moment we bond with our mothers over breast or bottle. It is a moment that will affect us for the remainder of our lives. As we have learned from the Harvard Happiness Study, it is the quality, specifically not the quantity, of these relationships in our lives that determines our health, wellness, longevity, and happiness more than any other variable or influence. The goal of culinary medicine is to empower the individual to positively reestablish, reconnect, and reforge their relationship to their food experience, because this food relationship is the cornerstone for all the other relationships in our lives.
I discussed this here with relationships with the food and stuff. Do you remember that a little bit, or?
I end up talking about that so much because it's really the core of what we do in our culinary medicine approach. So I say it to everything. I talk about it all
I remember seeing an old show, through like a network that was kind of affiliated with Food Network that you were actually on. But I want to get Mark and Lynetta's views on this. What is your view on, like, we're talking about food, and people have obsessity with fast food and maybe processed food that's not good for them. Do you think it affects the relationship a little bit, Mark and Lynetta?
Especially, I'm going to chime in here because it's really interesting, because we eat very healthy. Like, we eat almost all organic. We do a lot of juicing, Vitamixing, like really good stuff. And
we can hardly eat out because most of the food.
Yeah, we'll often get sick when we go out to restaurants because whatever ingredients they have in there, we don't know.
It comes right up. It doesn't agree with your stomach, you're saying?
It doesn't come right up, but we will feel bad. Could be hours later, sometimes even the next day. So, like, fast food for sure we don't do, but even, restaurants that have a good reputation, a lot of times it doesn't agree with us. But for us, this comes up in all areas. What's most important is what's behind what we do, which I think your other guests are all about as well. And like for me, I'm about 15 pounds overweight right now. And it's been this way for at least a couple of years. It's like I know what my ideal body weight is, and I have about 15.
You don't look 15 pounds overweight, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know.
And my body doesn't like it. Like, I feel uncomfortable in my body. And I realize there's this pattern I have, and this kind of goes back to childhood even, that like, eat the food and get out of there, because there was like a lot of fighting at dinner time in my home. It it was really a nightmare to have dinner together. And it was just like, shove the food down and get the heck out of there. Otherwise, you're probably going to get hit, which happens some of the times.
Are you a new AT&T customer looking to upgrade your phone? You're trapped, locked into your contract for 3 years. And your phone is locked into their network too. No 2-year upgrade for you, Jonathan. But T-Mobile has a way out. Introducing the Easy Unlock. Bring your AT&T locked phone and T-Mobile will pay it off and give you one of the latest 5G smartphones free. Plus, next time you're ready for an upgrade a year earlier. You're free now, little one. So are you. Just so we're clear, I did trip on purpose for comedy.
Free your phone now at T-Mobile.
So, it's a weird connection with food. And I get in this loop also, just to really be vulnerable with you guys, that if I feel kind of bad in my body, then I'll shove some food down. And then, of course, I'll feel worse. And it's like, oh, well, maybe if I eat different food, maybe this will make me feel better. And I just get in this loop. And this has been one of my biggest challenges, to dig out. Yeah. And it really comes down to the question of, why do we do what we do? In other words, when we're coaching somebody about relationships, it's never about, well, here's what's going on. He's saying this, and she's saying this, and I'm feeling hurt, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what's behind the scenes?
Yeah,
why are we doing what we do? Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned vulnerability, guys. So if you follow Soulmate Coaches on social media, you guys are putting out some real in-depth videos of the both of you. Some of it is in your car, some of it is outside, some of it is in the comfort of your home, it seems.
Last few years, I had all kinds of body problems, not feeling well. And I realized that's kind of a convenient excuse for me to not be out there, because if I don't feel good, well, I can't, make a video or write something. So I finally owned up that I'd been using my body as an excuse for not being out in the world and not sharing all our gifts with all of you, and I'm done. So here I am, fessing up, and I hope it helps you. I hope it gives you the courage for you to step up in your life and not use anything as an excuse, even if you have body challenges or emotional challenges or spiritual challenges or especially relationship challenges, because you can overcome all of those because we're the evidence. We have overcome all.
And I mean, that is courage, literally courage. I mean, because there's a lot of people, even in your practice and what you do for a living, that don't do that. You don't see the in-depth. You like to use the word behind the scenes. You don't see that, Mark. So I mean that's awesome that you guys are putting that out.
Thank you for that. That's what we call an acknowledgement, and that's another basic tenet. We love acknowledging each other, acknowledging our clients, acknowledging all of you, and it's like when you're acknowledged and seen and understood, then you have the courage to be more vulnerable with others.
Yeah.
That's the reason? Yeah, I'm sorry. The reason for doing that, is it because that you're trying to show, the true meaning and the definition, not only behind the word soulmate, but through relationships? Is that why you're doing it? I have to ask. Because there's reasons why people do it.
Intimacy.
Oh, yeah. So to be really intimate with your partner, if you really want to have closeness, then you share your vulnerable, you share authentically, and you are vulnerable. And if you're both being vulnerable with each other, it builds trust. Because if only one person's being vulnerable and the other person is criticizing you, you're going to shut down and you're not going to share anymore.
Yeah.
So if you're both being really vulnerable and then you can be more authentic, that's the way we build closeness. Like right now, after you acknowledged us, Michael, that just felt so good. And now we just want to share more.
I always give the credit to where it's due.
I want to chime in on this exactly.
Yes.
Validation and affirmation, to tie this back to the show with Valerie. And yes, the COVID lockdowns, the isolation, suicide rates are off the charts in every category.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because of the isolation.
Yeah, without a doubt. I want to get Valerie's last final thoughts here on the show before we close it out. Valerie, do you have anything else here you want to explain to the listeners here? This is going to be in Rumble and all over, iHeart, Spotify. The floor is yours, ma'am.
I just want to encourage people just to think on what your authentic self would be like, and just give yourself permission to do the things that you desire to do in your life. And I did write a book called Maximizing Life, and it's how I went personally. When you say some people aren't mentally there to even grasp the things that we're saying, I was that person at one point in time. I couldn't even answer a questionnaire from a life coaching person. I had no voice. I never smiled. I had panic attacks every day of my life. Like
toxic relationships. Validations and affirmation brings people closer, and if you're in those toxic relationships, you've got to get out of that and find a affirming and validating relationship. But Mark, to what you said about weight, to tie it back to Michael and BMI, I find I'm kind of 20 pounds above what my weight generally was over most of my lifetime. And for a while I was concerned about getting back to that, but I find with these extra pounds, for me, again, this is all regarding individualism, not broad brushing, right? I have health issues, been on Social Security disability since 2004, but I find I'm actually kind of sick less often now with the more weight. I may have found that better weight for me, and it isn't in the BMI zone, right, Michael?
Yeah. So to pick up kind of where that was, there's this idea that you want to be in the ideal body weight. It turns out when we look at survival curves, it's not linear. So it's not a straight line where your risk of increased morbidity and mortality correlates to what your weight is. It's actually what we call J-shaped curve. Just think of like a Nike swoosh, right? Which means there's a bottom point and then it rises on both sides. And people who are underweight, less than ideal, actually have an increased risk, right? It makes sense. People can be too thin. And it's not just because people have cancer and are wasting away. We take them out of the equation. When we look at the
I've always been thin. I mean, I could say this. I'm in my 40s right now, guys, and my metabolism has not slowed down a damn bit. I could have 7 pizza slices. Literally, I'm over exaggerating, but I could probably eat about 6 or 7 pizza slices and not literally. It won't affect my metabolism whatsoever.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Well, look at the Gutfeld. Remember the Gutfeld show for those who watch it. Look at Kat Timpf. I mean, she's a stick figure, but that's her. That's who she is. That's kind of just the way she's always been, but she's healthy for that thinness. But Karen Carpenter came up the other day, Michael.
Yeah.
You know, anorexia, Karen Carpenter. So, I mean, there's that, like you said, that swoosh. There's extremes.
You have to realize, too, BMI doesn't measure fat, right? So it can't tell the difference between muscle mass and fat. It's not a good measure. So we're not talking about your percentage of fat because we don't use BMI the way it's supposed to be used, which is just to look at populations. So when we do look at BMI, what we find is actually the healthiest group are those who are overweight into mild obesity, not ideal body weight. Ideal body weight has the same risk of morbidity and mortality as people who are mildly or class 1 obesity. So that's not, people who are saying, oh, I'm 5 or 10 pounds over my ideal body weight. You're probably actually in the healthiest group. And this has been shown. There's a whole book written by a colleague of mine called The Obesity Paradox, Chip Levine out of Oxner Institute.
Yeah. Michael, Mark, as soon as you just said that, Michael, Mark just was like, wow, okay. He was surprised.
Lynetta kind of patted me on the belly here, like, oh, maybe you don't need to lose the weight.
Yeah.
Actually, as we get older, because our gut microbiome changes, our body points reset, and increased risk of Alzheimer's disease and early mortality correlate to low cholesterol and low body weight as we get older. So there's this idea that we're examining in the medical field where we're saying, well, actually, maybe as we get older, you need a little bit more body fat for good health, for obvious other reasons. So
I heard the same thing.
We don't know is kind of what I wanted to say. It's not what we used to think, which is like, oh, somebody who's obese, they don't exercise, and they're just eating Snickers bars 24/7, and they have no willpower. It's a lot more complicated than that.
Right, but at the same time, Doctor, I want us to be careful to, like I said before, the normatization of overweight. Also, we don't want to let that go by unaddressed as all this discussion as being an excuse to be overweight if you know you are overweight and you can do something about it.
I'm just not ready to go back to a gym.
Well, clearly you haven't gone crunch mode.
Crunch mode?
It's the feeling that you get
when you finish up a set.
Everyone working up a sweat.
When you're hating your trainer, but love her when you're done.
Working out the meal, you know the one. Yeah, that's crunch mode.
Crunch mode.
Check out Crunch with a free guest pass.
Fitness. Michael Gardner on
correct, because once you get to what we call morbid obesity, which we call class 2 and class 3 obesity, right? There is a point, because I said it's that Nike swoosh, at which point increasing weight, as you said earlier, Michael,
correlate. Michael, I was going to say we gotta stop plugging Nike because
J-shaped curve, the J-shaped curve.
Hey, Michael, the thing we were talking about before about vulnerability, Lynette and I had something come up that has been probably our biggest relationship challenge. In fact, we're going to do video on it, but if you want, we could just share for a moment with you guys how we kind of deal with this super intimate, challenging stuff.
Super intimate.
Okay, I'll give the background, then I'll
let
Lynette talk.
Yeah. Hold on, Mark. What you're about to say, is this like a form of like meditation in a way that you're doing, or
no, it's about sex.
Oh, okay.
It's okay to talk about sex?
Can we say that word?
You can say sex all you want, but you might get some of my listeners upset. You know, some of the leftists upset. They're talking about sex. Now they're going to go into transgenderism and all this other stuff.
No. That's not the point.
You know how they get.
This is coming back to intimacy. So I'll just give you the background and I'll let Lynette share. So
this kind of ties to the first part you were on, but go ahead.
Yeah. So we have the most awesome relationship. Like, we're together like 10 years now, married for 9, and it gets better every day. And we just love being together, and everything about our relationship has been awesome and getting better, except sex. That has been a huge challenge for us. Huge challenge.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of factors that came into this. One is I was attributing it somewhat to Lynette having hit menopause. And of course, things do change.
It happens, Mark. It happens.
Yeah. But there's another component is that, I started looking at pornography early in my life, as most of us do. You know, I discovered my dad's stash and whatever.
Early addictions, usually.
Yeah. And also, just because there was a lot of violence at home, I found the only way I could fall asleep at night was to masturbate and then go to sleep. It would relieve some of the tension I felt. So it kind of became like a lifelong pattern, if you will, just because of that, the violence I had at home. So there's kind of been like an undercurrent of me looking at all this stuff and having this ideal in my head about what, I wouldn't say sex. I usually do prefer to say making love and not sex. And most pornography, I looked at a lot over the years, is really crap. Because most of it's abusive and there's not a connection with the people. And I would look, honestly, at 100 videos or pictures to find one where I felt there was actually a connection between the two people. And that's not most of it. So I kind of, in my head, had this ideal that's the kind of lovemaking that I wanted. So that's kind of the background. Now I'll let you take it from here. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's
So,
go to question.
Michael.
1 second, Lynetta. So basically, 1 second. Oh yeah. We were crossing over each other. It's okay. Anyway, so basically, some people have addictions with sex, food addictions. Some people can't eat. They don't know when to stop eating.
Yep.
Your addictions were pornography. I know people have addictions with fast food. They don't know when to stop going to McDonald's or, Arby's or something.
As a society, I think really favored convenient type restaurants, fast food restaurants. And so now they've come out of COVID, with a lead, whereas the scratch restaurants closed.
Well, depending on the region too. I mean, I have friends that live up in New York City, and the entire restaurant business up in New York City during COVID, I mean, they went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
So, there's so many different addictions. But yeah, go ahead, Lynetta.
So I felt every time I was kind of there was an expectation on me that I could feel it. And afterwards there would he'd be like, this isn't it. I want it to be I want to merge with you and feel this, have this experience. I don't even know what it is. But I felt like I was being every time there was an expectation on me, and then there was criticism usually afterwards, like, that wasn't it, man, I'm kind of disappointed, I wish it would have been like this. And I'm like, so then I just shut down, and I'm like, I don't even want to go there. My body's like, I don't
the
even
emotion
want to go
set
there.
in,
Yeah, because I'm like, I'm going to get criticized, and I'm going to get, you know, and now I get he's got some fantasy of what he expects it should be, this amazing, you know, experience, like the stars are all going to align, and, you know, we're going to be one with all that exists, and I'm like,
going back to the 60s of peace and love. Yeah,
that's a lot of pressure to put on. Yeah, felt like it was all up to me, and I wasn't fitting the bill, so I just shut down. And I'm like, you know what? In the bedroom, no more criticism, no more expectations. It's about being present and being loving, and that's it.
Yeah.
So what Loretta did is this literally happened this morning when we got up, and as we're driving to the gym, literally we were talking about this, and she shared how hurt she felt. So you have to be able to share openly. And she says, you know, this is really a lot, as she said, a lot of pressure, and I feel really hurt that either we don't make love, because if I do, I know I'm going to be criticized, and then I'm criticized for not wanting to make love, or we make love and it's not good enough, and then I get criticized for that. So she basically said it's a lose-lose. And I heard her, and I was like, honey, I get you, and you're right. You know, we never argue with each other. When they're right, one of us, we never try to defend. It's like, I see your point. Yeah. And I get this has been interfering with our truly being able to be love in the love-making space.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see Michael Fenster here on the left of us. He's got some views and some thoughts racing. Michael, do you have anything you want to chime in with? If you want, man, just feel free to.
It's just really you know, interesting for me to hear that, and thank you for sharing that. But to kind of draw some parallels to some of the things that we do, we engage in some mindfulness and mindfulness-based eating awareness techniques and things. And one of the reasons, obviously, you know, people like me have food fantasies, so we're hung up on that. There's a whole industry based on food porn.
I love food too, but I don't gain a fucking ounce from any of it.
Can you vulnerably share one of your food fantasies with us?
Well, what I wanted to get to, which I thought was interesting, is that when we use our techniques like mindfulness-based eating awareness techniques, it's to get people in the moment. Because as a lot of research from Harvard has shown, where we actually find our happiness is being in the here and now. The study also showed that about 47 to 49% of the time, we're not here and now. We're either worrying about future or we're rehashing something about the past. But the moments, and one reason that masturbation, for example, holds a lot of attraction for people is because where are you most likely to be concentrating on the here and now and be in the moment? It's during sex, whether with yourself or somebody else. And so that is
an old episode of Dr. Oz about a year ago.
Yeah, so it's very interesting that we can arrive at those moments and techniques to kind of be in the moment, you know, in different ways. And we actually do that through stopping. And I forget who was saying earlier, talking about, you know, just eating things and being unaware and just, you know, shoving stuff in your pie hole versus taking sort of that moment to engage and to draw it back to what you guys talk about and actually have a relationship with what you're eating, right? Because something, whether you're a vegetarian or you're having a steak, it doesn't matter. Something died so you can eat. And it's worthwhile at least every once in a while to pause and reflect on that. We live by consuming other bits of energy. And at one time or another, those were all living things.
I am now having a food orgy fantasy. I need a sampler pile from somewhere immediately following this episode.
Didn't anybody bring food to this party?
I was asking for the wine.
I just brought some water.
Back to the Graham Norton show again.
I think Lynetta's having wine. Yeah. Lynetta, is that wine or something you're drinking or something or what? You're like getting drunk on the show or something.
Normally there's normally there's a different kind of whining going on in this show.
I'm telling you, it's great. You know, like we got the soulmate coaches, and we got and Mark and Lynetta, we got you guys. Yeah. Hold on, Joseph. Shut up for a minute. Anyway, so we got the soulmate coaches, you know, and then we have a man that fits 2 roles. He's a doctor/chef, which I'd never heard of in my life until I brought him on the first time. You know, I always joke around with Mr. Fender here.
Yes.
Where can I get your food?
Oh, well, you can visit the website. We put out recipes and things like that, and as Michael said, there's, you know, I've done some recipes and TV demos and things like that. You know, it's more about teaching people instead of just giving a recipe or, you know, putting food out there. It's about empowering people because everybody's tastes are different. You got to cook what you like, right? You know, you really I'm sure when you guys work with other people and it's a relationship. It's all about deriving joy from that. We're only here for a little time on this, you know, on this ball as we go around the sun.
This is the place built by dreams, where all big thinkers, go-getters, and fun lovers are welcome. Whether you're here for a dream meeting or staying for a dream vacation, this is the place. A crossroads of cultures, accessible to all, where whimsy and innovation are serious business. Here, anything is possible if you can imagine it. And that's what makes Orlando unbelievably real.
So, like, food should be about happiness. It should be a joyful experience. It makes me, you know, so depressed when all these other people, you know, from particularly from a health perspective, you know, try to make you have salvation through deprivation. Like, it's, you got to punish yourself so you can be a certain weight or eat this nutrient. You know, to hell with that. Life is short, man. You've got to be able to enjoy your food, and that comes down to individual preferences, I think.
Do you know the absolute worst statement I think that has ever been made in all these domains is no pain, no gain. That is the absolute worst thing that has ever been said about how to live life.
Yeah, we have brought
so just an assumption it's going to have to be painful.
Yeah, everything.
What a mistake.
Everything keeps coming full circle, and Dr. Mike brought it full circle again to what I said before. No one size fits all regarding anything. No matter the topic, no such thing as one size fits all.
Yeah, so I got to jump on that, Mark, and just say, you know, my approach is no pain, unless it's champagne. And then that's okay.
I like that. No pain. Can I quote you?
Yeah, absolutely. I used to tell folks, the only pain in your life, be champagne.
Yeah.
Champagne.
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
I love it because, you know, you really have, you know, like Mark and Lynetta, you guys are really like naturalists. I mean, you live the way. I mean, literally, we were living like hundreds of thousands of years ago. If you want to know what people lived back then, I mean, look at Mark and Lynetta. You guys are very much of naturalist type of people. Maybe this is just me seeing this, but you guys don't look like you heavily medicate. You don't smoke. You don't do drugs. You don't drink.
No.
Well, at least Lynetta doesn't drink. I think she's drinking wine. But anyway, I mean, you guys are a clear example of that. I wish we had more of it.
Yeah.
Which is not to say alcohol within moderation.
Oh yeah, it's just we don't feel good when we drink that. I love chamomile tea. That's my favorite.
Actually, bring the bottle up. That bottle you saw.
People in Israel were drinking, Joseph, for God's sakes. Yeah.
Yeah, Lynetta's been experimenting with making all kinds of like custom teas.
Yeah.
So she'll start with a tea
Oh,
base.
wow.
She might squeeze some tangerine in,
I'll put ginger in here, turmeric.
turmeric, maybe some monk fruit for
Lynetta, you
sweetening.
better put a patent on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she makes a hot chocolate with like this stevia sweetened chocolate base, and then she adds all this cinnamon and stuff. The drinks she makes are out of this
They're
world.
amazing.
Now
You can't get them anywhere.
Now I'm inspired for tea. So after the show, when I go for my fantasy orgy food sampler platter, I will get a Long Island iced tea to go with it.
Wait,
does.
Mark.
Oh, okay.
Mark, you said you can get this. You can get this anywhere. You said, like, what about like regular stores like Whole Foods and stuff like that? If I go to Whole Foods or Trader Joe's here in Florida, I can pick that up at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods.
Oh yeah. At Whole Foods they have a Buddha tea that's one of my favorite. Also, Mighty Leaf is really good tea.
Okay.
Amazing tea. Those are my
I'm a
two
tea guy.
favorite.
I like tea sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
See how well this
wow.
Graham Norton style show is going, Michael.
It works
This is fabulous.
This is
This
fun.
is the best show we've been on, Michael.
It is, and we've been on a lot.
Oh,
of
you
shows
stop kissing my
recently.
ass, Mark. No, but, he's like, that show we've been on this week. When's the next one? We'll let you know when producer Shaky gets his freaking emails correctly.
Yeah.
Can we do another show with food porn?
Yeah.
You like the food porn, huh?
Only if you promise to put clocks on your wall like the newsroom with the different time zones, so we'll know you'll be
They're
on
turning
time.
it to Stas. They're turning it to you guys are turning it to Cousin Stas. Yeah.
And just to make it interesting, we can have liberal food porn and conservative food porn.
Oh, wow. Wait. I gotta hear. Mark, I gotta hear this before we close this out. I gotta hear this. Joseph, stop laughing, for Christ's sake. Joseph fell over. You all right, Joseph? You look like you fell over, buddy. Anyway. No, I gotta hear this. You said there's liberal. Well, let's start with liberal food porn.
No, I
What's
said if we're
liberal
going to do
food
food porn, we should have some people representing liberal food porn and some people representing conservative food porn.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would look like.
Fair.
Just having some
That's
fun.
right. The Savaged Unfiltered goes fair and balanced, right?
How about this, Mark? How about this? I'll go to downtown Orlando. It's very easy. It's like a 20-minute ride from me. Let me go to downtown Orlando. I'll pick up some liberal idiot off the street, and I'll be like, "Hey, you want to come on the show? We're going to be talking about food porn." Oh, that's awesome. I know what the liberals look like, and then I'll take a conservative. Literally like up the road a little bit, up in Winter Park. If you guys are familiar with Winter Park, it's a very richy area. I'll take a rich conservative there. I'll put him on the show, and we'll talk about food porn. It'll be great.
Awesome.
Cool. We'd love to be on the show for that.
All right. Sounds good. I'm telling you, Michael, do you see this type of stuff? Like, I don't know what kind of shows you've been on, but do you see like any type of stuff like this on these shows or what?
We've ruined his reputation.
I love an honest discussion. We're talking about foodgasms and food porn. So, I'm all in. I don't care about the time zone because it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Right.
Exactly.
But we're going
Yeah.
to ruin the doctor's reputation, I think.
Well, I've done a great job of that already. So.
Hey, as long as you're both medical and food oriented, can we share one of our biggest things that I think people should know about regarding food and health?
Yeah. For sure.
So there's something called.
Is it about food porn?
No. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can hook it back in somehow, but I'll just mention it since we are very healthy oriented and we eat mostly organic food. But there is something called the Dirty Dozen, which are fruits and vegetables that usually have a lot of pesticides. And they say, don't get these from, regular stores or non-organic, like kale, spinach, blueberries, strawberries, like they just have tons of pesticides. So for those things and you can find out the Dirty Dozen if you just Google it.
Just Google. Yeah.
And so like all that stuff, we make sure we only get organic.
DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, but sorry,
Thank you. Throw away the Google.
Then they also have something, but they also have a list called the Clean 15. And those are things that even if it's not organic, they hardly have any pesticides. So for people who are wanting to be more healthy and they say, oh my God, organic stuff's too expensive. If you take a look at these lists, you can see there's a lot of foods you can get that don't need to be organic and are still quite healthy. And only focus on getting organic maybe for the ones that have a lot of pesticides. Just a little thing that we live by.
And the thing I'd add, Mark, is one of the things we do is we pursue what we call a zero waste kitchen. So let's say you pay more for those organic carrots. Most people, when you buy the organic carrots, you get the greens on top because that's the way you can tell how fresh they are, right? If they're wilted, the carrot's been sitting around. They look like they need a little veggie Viagra by the time you pick them up. So when you buy the food porn, yeah, there we go. But when you buy when I get those organic carrots with the tops, you can take those tops and make a pesto out of them. You can use them in the stock. When you peel the carrot, don't throw the peelings away. You throw them at the end of the weekend with all the other trim from your vegetables, and you make stock. I mean, there's celebrity chef stock that costs $15 a freaking quart. And at the end of the week, if you throw all that stuff in with a couple of quarts of water, you can make your own for like 12 cents. So that's a way to make organics economic.
Rachel Ray a few shows ago had a garbage stew. What you're talking about, all the different pieces that are left, you can have a garbage stew or a
Joseph, is she still on?
From that.
Joseph, is she still on? I don't even see her
don't get me
anymore.
started. That describes a lot of
I used
what
to love
she
Rachel Ray.
My sister watches her, so I see her usually on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Yeah,
when I go
Michael,
over to my sister's for dinner.
You
but
just said don't get me started with Rachel Ray. How does she come up with? Hold on, Joseph. God. Anyway, how does she?
Back about 10 years ago. I know somebody who actually went to high school with Rachel Ray, and so they got me connected with her producer. And at that time, and I think she's evolved a little bit, but at that time, the response I got back was, "Well, you can't come on the show because you know more, and you're an actual chef, and you can cook." And that would embarrass
Rachel Ray's not an actual chef?
No, she never went to college. She got her break. She actually was at the food counter at like Macy's and got recognized. And then she drove down to.
I was gonna say, did she do like a similar thing like Ricky Lake or something? Is that how she got her start or something?
Yeah, she got started on $40 a day on Food Network. But she was never a trained chef. She never worked in a kitchen. Like I started as a dishwasher, worked my way up. So her kitchen chops. I mean, I don't want to get into that and go into that area, but let's just say,
she might yell at you, Michael.
It's not there.
She's probably gonna say, "Fuck you, Michael. You're fucking burying me right now." I'm gonna turn into Whoopi Goldberg. I'm gonna become Whoopi Goldberg.
Tony Bourdain buried her long before I jumped on that bandwagon.
Yeah. Well, I was
gonna I want to say, how did she come up with the 30-minute meals? That's what I was trying to say. Like, where did the 30? Like, that's not done in 30 minutes, Michael. We all know that,
right? So, I mean, Food Network has a whole kitchen, a whole division of chefs who do nothing but work on this. She's a presenter, and she does a great job, and she's a host. But in my opinion, is she a culinary genius? No, not far from it. But she's a great presenter, and that's what she does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She'll be the next one being fired, like John Lemon and Tucker Carlson from Fox.
Well, since
hey,
you mentioned...
maybe you could take up Fox's next food program. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
I've done a couple of demos on their medical segments, like the Mind Diet and stuff. And I got to say, of having gone to different places, the people at Fox, at least my experience when I was there, they were always super nice. I mean, that was a great, place to go do a food demo. They were
Michael. They were not super nice to Tucker. They let Tucker go.
They were not. But my experience was they were great. When I went to the Today Show, those people were so bloody impressed with themselves. It was horrible.
Yeah. Well, now that we're on this, if the Murdoch boys are watching, right, everything is on Fox Nation now. They need you to have a food show on Fox Nation. And since we're dealing with politics, remember Circle Back Jen Psaki? So we seem to always be circling back. How do we circle back to the food porn again?
I think that Lynetta and I should be on Fox News with a program about how to be more lovey-dovey with those you disagree with politically.
Mark, like they're actually looking probably for some new personalities. Getting rid of Tucker, and their fucking ratings literally went down the drain. So you guys are probably right on the list.
Hey, Dan Bongino's weekend slot is also open, so.
Cool.
Yeah. But this is great, guys. Thanks. What a show, Joseph. We're about to close it out here. I got to get going. But thank you very much. I want to say thank you very much, Mark and Lynetta.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you the floor right now to plug in anything you want to plug in for your platform, your anything. The floor is yours. Where can some of my listeners find more about you guys?
Oh, if they go to thesoulmatecoaches.com, or they look up the Soulmate Coaches on all the social media, everything from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
No Google.
I did not say the G word. You'll find us. And what we offer is a 20-minute breakthrough call, where we'll just do a 20-minute chat on whatever's going on in their life and see if we can get them some immediate relief or improve their current relationship or help them manifest a future relationship. And if they like it, then they might decide they want to do some longer-term coaching with us.
And maybe we'll do some food porn with them.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Maybe you guys should sign up yourselves and find out.
That is now.
Mark, you just gave me. Joseph, you're doing this on purpose. Every time I talk, you talk. 1 second, and then I'll let you talk. I'm gonna have to bring you to the to broadcasting school or something, like I learned all those years. You got to give the respected floor, Joseph. It's not always about you. Anyway, but no, you just gave me an idea for this show. Food porn. That's going to be the name of this episode. Food porn. So thank you very much, Mark.
Yes.
I think it was either you or Michael. I don't know who came up with that, but that's the name of the episode now. Food porn.
She's the expert here. This
Yeah.
is her thing. She'll tell you all about it.
I was just going to say that is.
Yeah, now it's your turn.
Okay, I was just going to say that is now your side hustle. You need to open up a food porn side of your site, your website.
Yes, it's my fetish, right? That's my fetish.
Your fetish. It's your fetish. Well, Michael, it seems like Michael has sometimes fetishes with food, but Michael, I mean, we learned a little bit about your fetishes and everything. You love food, and it seems like you have food porn.
He loves carrots with the greens on top.
Right. I mean, food porn is you just look at this and you're like, I don't care. This is so delicious. I gotta jump in. I gotta have this right now. The beautiful thing is with a good, healthy food relationship that tosses it back to Lynette and Mark, right? When you engage in that and use the right ingredients, it's actually good for you. And it becomes a positive relationship.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with, seeing something and saying, man, it looks delicious. It tastes delicious. It's all about the pleasure. I'm indulging. I'm happy. I'm having a foodgasm. And that can be good, and it can be healthy for you. You just have to.
We need a little tagline, something like, "You think eating pussy is good? You should try eating this."
Jesus Christ, Mark! Unfiltered. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
It's unfiltered, right?
Mark, I'm gonna talk. Hey, Mark, I'm gonna talk to some guys that I know. All right, you talked about the word pussy. Okay, I think they're gonna want to do another American Pie movie, and you would be really, really good for like the father, like not the original father would love it, but I'm talking about like the next father that we didn't know about, like that says, you know what, guys, in my day, pussy was great in college. That's another episode. But to Michael, you just said something here. I hope you. Yeah. No, Michael said something. I hope you don't go too far into the food porn and act like Jason Biggs from American Pie and fuck the whole pie. I hope you don't do that.
It's about the intimacy.
And now that you brought up pussy, we know we got to bring MeUndies back, and they don't pinch my pussy ad for the sponsorship of the food porn episode. You've not seen that ad? Yeah, you got to see the MeUndies. They don't pinch my pussy ad.
Okay.
I feel uneducated for some reason.
All right, I gotta fly, so see y'all later.
God.
Take care. God bless.
But yeah, we're gonna close it out, guys. Oh, Joseph's going. Okay, right. Joseph. I guess Joseph's done. But anyway, Michael, we're gonna close it out here. I want to thank you very much. Again, I want to give the respect to floor to you, sir. Where can some of my listeners find you if they want to know more about DrChefMike?
You can just, check out Chef Dr. Mike, Chef DrMike.com, and then all the links to all the social media, all under Chef DrMike are there. So looking forward to chatting with folks, and if folks want to reach out with questions or stuff, just give me a day or two, depending on my day. But I answer all my own tweets, et cetera, so I'll get back to you.
Good stuff. Good stuff, guys. Thank you very much for joining Savaged Unfiltered for a wild roller coaster, guy, of different types of walks of life here. With a Dr. Chef Michael here, the soulmate coaches Mark and Lynetta. Guys, thank you very much. Keep it savage, and until next time, we'll see you later. Thank you.